I guess there's going to be a PS on this. Give some light here. Um, in October I was hospitalized, and Kate and Frank came in, and Frank had a stroke some years ago. And Kate looked at my blood pressure, and she pointed out that on both numbers I was substantially higher than Frank when he had his stroke. And, people have told me that I'm drawling or I'm slurring or whatever, and it's probably because of that. And it doesn't really matter. There were a lot of stressors, and I'm not talking about my mother. Damn it. There were a lot of stressors, you know, uh, outside of my mother's death. I lost one of my closest friends in the world, and I lost a Navy brother, and this was in a short period of time. I had issues with my home and moving. I was absolutely broke. I mean, I'm starting from scratch. And that cracked me up. I was heading up to a ritual at Brushwood. And I was saying to Kate when we were driving up there, I said, this is the third time that I've had to start from scratch. And I said, I'm 56. And just as we're rounding the bend, there was a Cracker Barrel billboard. And it said, with love from scratch. It was funny. You had to be there. It some things come really easy for me. Other things, there's a constant frustration because I'm limited on some of the things that I could do. But I'm a fighter. I mean, I've got my mother's fighting spirit. I've often told people, my father taught me to survive. My mother taught me how to fight. And she had a favorite expression, grow some spine. But I am alone. As far as that solo act, I have a few people that are close to me, but after my last relationship, I don't know if I can ever let anyone get that close to me again. And it's a lot of times people either bring out the best in each other or they bring out the worst. And such is life. I've tried to put things together. I am getting back into the New York world, particularly Cosm. We've got that's coming up with the vernal equinox, and we're always doing something, and we're doing more. I'm recording on top of everything else. I got a job at Michael's working in the frame department. I'm still employed. They just don't have any hours for me. This kid came back from workman's comp, and so that cut me down to 15 hours, and then corporate came in because it was the fiscal year and said only one person in the frame shop. So I got laid off, and now I'm looking for another job. And I gotta go to Social Security and fill out all kinds of papers for the death payment of my mother. It's like I paid $600. The death benefit is $260. And I definitely need some assistance. I gotta go to the VA. I have all of this stuff to catch up on. And I'm not complaining about it. It's just life. And there were a lot of things that didn't get done. Had I been here in Connecticut, people would have pitched in and helped me. In Cincinnati, honestly, it was the final hour. Everybody disappeared the last couple of months, my housemate wouldn't even talk to me, and it just was so petty. And I just, I look at it and it's a lesson well learned. Of course, there are a few people that made it on my shit list, which is not a good place to be. But, again, such is life. You move on. My eyes aren't working so well, and when they were looking at my kidney in the MRI, they noticed something that was askew. And I think it's my thoracic, 1, 2, 3 of the vertebrae are slightly messed up, but 4 and 5 have scar tissue in them. There's 2 more herniated discs down there. Sometimes I have a hard time urinating. Other times I dribble. I have numbness in my legs and pain. And sometimes my legs don't work. And these are the things that I'm dealing with. I'm trying to push myself because, my heredity, children, when they're sick, they stay in bed. But when you're adult, you're like Teddy Roosevelt, you got the worst kind of flu and you're out there game hunting. Don't acquiesce to it. Fight it all. And, I have been recording and I've been touching on a lot of material, and it's probably going to start with an explosion. I'm going away for 6 months, maybe. And, I plan to, in late September, come back. But over the process of that 6 months, I've got somebody that's going to be releasing my material. Finally at 56, when I don't have to take care of anybody, I'm ready. This is the first time in my life that I'm not living it for somebody else. And this is some important shit. As for my critics, rather than say fuck you, I've developed something. I just go, thank you for the lessons you've given me. I deeply appreciate them. Well, unless you're on my shit list. But, we all have to get along, or not. If we don't get along, we kind of move away from each other. Human beings, they can be very loyal or very transient. There's another flower in the field to go after. And yes, my pinnacle. It's funny the way this ring gets looked at. I'm having it out with my doctors a lot. They better start listening to me because, medicine, when you're dealing with a doctor, that should be a co-creative relationship because you have to participate in your healing or you don't heal. And you got to be smart about it. I've changed a lot as far as my diet goes. Well, when I can afford food. Hey, I've had a few times like this in my life where, I've been the starving artist. Now, that's not going to last forever, but for the meantime, and probably for the next year, I'm going to have to really bust ass, which is not a bad thing. The only thing is when the physical limitations rear their ugly fucking heads. And there are times when I have to go in the bathroom and run the water because I'm crying. But we all have our crosses to bear. But with self-pity in this world, I'm like, Mary, get down from that cross. We need the fucking wood for a fire. I reached a point in my life where I can be curmudgeonly and grumble. I'm not faking the basic senility that seems to be setting in. People had me, they were telling me things that I was doing, and I found out later that I wasn't, but all of this stuff was getting in my head, and the way people were acting around me, and it was kind of like the herd mentality trying to cull out the old one, but I actually went and was checked for Alzheimer's. But once I got away from that, it started to clear up. Depression, some kind of brain thing, all of these things can affect you. And it doesn't help when you have a lot of assholes around you. And that's the thing. You can choose your friends in this life. You don't necessarily have to have them chosen for you. And I think people need to be better consumers with the friends that are around them. You don't need to be drawing on the energy of negative and dark people, quite frankly, if you want to be happy. Now, if you want to be dark, that's fine. Energy should attract. But, I'm done with that. It had a very bad effect on my health. There's no question. This is the worst it's ever been for me. And I struggle with it. And with this new kind of nerve thing with my spine, it's difficult for me to get upstairs and up the hill of the driveway. The driveway is about 500 feet. So, looking at the future, I'm going to keep doing physical things, and I'm going to keep losing weight, and it's been obvious to people for like the last month, and I'm just in part of it I'm getting healthy, but the other part is the stress is just eating me away. And that's the stress of dealing with the past. You have to reconcile yourself with it. Last year I got my ass kicked, and I am not going to let that, happen anymore. But I have to do what I can to make sure it doesn't. As far as festivals, honestly, not gonna do it. There was just an unfavorable amount of drama last year, and I help out a lot. I do a lot of things. I perform a lot of magic, and maybe I'm missing a few things. People might get the idea that maybe I'm not a bad person to keep around. Of course, they may, go the opposite way. Yeah, he's gone. I don't really care. I've got the Cosm events to do, which is very important to me. I always do the seasonals. And I do a lot of rituals, but I'm cutting back on that. I've paid my karmic, dues, and I've got some brownie points, and I'm going to use a couple of them by taking a pass on these things. To be honest, I just want to go back for a while to working with boats and with people, but not in a festival sense. I need to get back out there into the world for a while. I know where I belong in this life, but first things first. And I really am trying to get my head on straight, and I'm definitely working on delivering myself from evil. So a lot of you really make my life worth living, and I am so grateful for that. And some of you give me courage, some of you give me inspiration, all of you give me love, and I hope that you feel loved back. I'm not a perfect individual, and I hope you will forgive me that as I forgive you. Anyway, that's my €5 for what it's worth. And be good to each other and have a wonderful life. Bye-bye.